Hi, my name is Mark, and today I'd like to tell you more about Legacy of You. It's a Euro game, solo-only game from Garphill Games. Thanks Garphill Games for sending it for review. The action takes place in ancient China. There were floods, and your task is to build canals to save China from the water. This game plays over a campaign, so each game will remember your progress, and during the game you will add some cards, you will remove some cards from different decks. This is not a legacy game, you can reset the game and play it again, so no worries. But it's a clever concept that even though this is a Euro game, you have some store elements and you have some unlockable cards that you will get during the game. So let me show you and let me tell you how the game plays, and then I will tell you my opinion. So this is Legacy of You, prepared for, of course, for a solo game, because this is a solo-only game. And as I said earlier, your main goal is to build the canal. And by building the canal means that you have to build 6 parts of the canal, and they are represented by those cards. They are randomly placed during the setup of the game. They have different back and shows you where to put them. But each card has got a cost that shows you what resources you have to spend in order to build the canal. And your goal is to build 6 parts of the canal and to survive until the end of the round, because building the sixth part of the canal doesn't end the game. You still have to survive. By survive, I mean surviving the flood and surviving the attack of barbarians that are on the top of the board. So this is the main board, and this is the canal that you have to build. On the top of the board you have different townsfolk, and those townsfolk can be recruited during the game, and you will add them to your deck of starting townsfolk cards, and they will help you to gain different resources and to perform different actions. 6 of the townsfolk cards are placed at the start of the game, and on the 7th spot here you have 1 barbarian card. Those barbarians will attack you at the end of each round of the game, and you start with 1, but during the game there will be more and more of them. If at any point of the game there would be 7 barbarian cards at the top of the board, then you will lose the game. So your goal, apart from building the canal, is to defeat those barbarians, because if you don't defeat them, there will be more and more of them each round. You have the canal, and you have this barge, and it represents the last card, or the first canal card that you need to build, because you will build the canal from left to right. And this is the float. This is the float token, and it represents the water that is coming, and with this you can set this meeple will chase you. If at any point this float meeple meets your barge or the first unbuilt canal, you will lose the game. If at any point it will leave the board, you will lose the game as well. So you have to hurry. On the bottom of the board you have different buildings. You have farms, you have outposts, and you have huts that you will be able to build and place on the board and unlock different bonuses. You have the townsfolk deck. This is the deck of cards that you will use to replenish this market on the top. You have the barbarians deck. New barbarians will be coming from this deck. You have different story cards that you will use in the game to add cards to all those decks, because Legacy of You is a campaign game. It's not a legacy game, so don't worry, you will not destroy anything. But this is a campaign game, and each time you play the game you will remove some of the cards from the game to the game box. You will add new cards to different decks, and in a way you will progress, because you also have those 7 victory and 7 defeat cards. At the end of each game, depending if you have won or lost, you will reveal the top card from the corresponding deck. If at any point you go to the last gold card, either victory or defeat card, you will read it and the game will end. So the minimum number of plays for a campaign is 7. If you manage to win all 7 games in a row, or if you will lose 7 times in a row, and the maximum number is 13, because you can win, lose, win, lose, win, lose 6 times, and then one of those cards will be left, so you have to read it. And you have this storybook, and here are different paragraphs, different scripts that you will read during the game when the cards will tell you, and they add some story elements to the game, but they also tell you which cards from the story deck you have to unlock, which cards you have to remove, and how to progress with the story. So this is really cool. This is like, you know, playing Tainted Grail, but this is a Euro game, and you have, even though you have the storybook with some story that progresses during the game. You also start the game with 10 Townsfolk cards. This is your deck of cards that is used to, you will gain cards from this deck each round, but also if at any point of the game this deck runs out of cards and you have some cards in your discard and you have to reshuffle your discard to create a new Townsfolk deck, then the float will progress, and this is how this marker progresses during the game. If at any point of the game you don't have any more Townsfolk cards because you had destroyed all of them, because the game told you to destroy them, or you have chosen to destroy them for some bonuses, then you also lose the game. So you can lose the game if the water comes too fast to unbuild canal, if there are too many barbarians, or if you are out of Townsfolk cards in your Townsfolk deck. You also have some resources, like here you have different workers in different colors, they all have names, I don't remember the names, like archer, warrior, etc, etc. Different colors. The color is important if you want to perform different tasks, because different tasks require workers in specific color. We have resources, you have provisions, you have shells that you will gather during the game, you have clay, and you have wood. So 4 types of resources. And how you play the game. Each round of the game starts with the harvest phase. And harvest phase is the phase where you get different resources. On the bottom of the board, you have the resources that you get when the game starts. You basically get 4 cards from your Townsfolk deck. You will get 1 white worker, you will gain 1 shell, and you will gain 1 provision, because this means that you get as many shells as you have built outposts, but at the start of the game, none of the outposts is built, so you get 0 shells. So this is harvest. If you unlock new harvest bonuses during the game, you will gain those bonuses at the start of each round. For example, building farms unlocks additional harvest bonuses like white worker, additional provision, or a worker of the color of your choice. You can also insert the Townsfolk cards below the game board to gain additional bonuses shown here. So this is harvest. And then there is the action phase, where you will take different actions in the game. And what actions you can take? First, you can spend your Townsfolk cards to gain different bonuses. You can discard a card into your discard pile to get a bonus printed on the brown background. If you want the additional bonus on the red background, you have to discard the card, but not to your discard, but to the main discard pile. So it will not go back to your hand after you reshuffle your deck. This icon, don't worry about it. This is something that you will unlock during the game. I will not talk about it in this video. Basically, you can discard Townsfolk for brown resources, or discard it completely from your deck for brown and red resources. You can also decide to place one of your cards below the board. At the start of the game, you have only 1 space where you can add your card. It's here. But when you build more farms, more huts during the game, the green huts here, you will unlock additional spaces. So if I would like to use this card for the harvest bonuses, I will place this card here below the board. I will slide it like this, and this will give me 1 additional wood and 1 additional shell at the next harvest phase. But this card will stay here forever until the end of the game, and I have 1 card less in my deck. So you can either use Townsfolk cards for the bonuses here, or you can slide them if you have enough space under the board to gain harvest bonuses next round. Then you can get the cards depicted on the top. You have different townsfolk cards and you can spend provisions to get them. The first card is free. You can just take it and add it to your discard. The next card costs 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3. This is the barbarian. You cannot recruit a barbarian. So if you want, you can spend provisions to get a card and add it to your discard pile, or you can spend provisions to discard a townsfolk card to gain the brown bonus. So you can also gain the brown bonuses not only from your cards, but also from the cards on the top of the board, but you have to pay provisions and you cannot gain the red bonus if you use the card from the top of the board. Then you can build a canal, and this is something you should do because this is the goal of the game. You can take the barge from the card it's on, you will put it to the side of the board. You have to pay the resources shown here, 2 white workers and 2 shells, and then you will gain bonuses or you will get some penalties depicted on the bottom of the card. Here you will get 1 clay, 1 wood, and you will have to discard the top card from your not discard, you will have to remove the top card from your deck completely to the discard on the top of the board. So you will lose, basically you will lose 1 townsfolk because you had to build a canal and the townsfolk got injured maybe or something. But by building a canal, you will unlock new options shown here. You will unlock new trade option and you will unlock a space for one of your buildings. And this card goes back to the game box. You can only build 1 part of the canal each round. That's why you had to remove those barge, because removing the barge shows you that 1 part of the canal was already built during the current round. So you can build a canal. If you want, you can attack barbarians. You have to pay the provisions depicted below a barbarian card, and you have to discard the workers shown here. If you manage to do it, you will gain the bonus depicted on the right side of the barbarian card, and you will discard the card to the discard pile. Because new barbarians are coming at the end of each round, defeating barbarians is quite important. So this is another action. You can fight barbarians. Recruiting, dismissing townsfolk, I told you about it. Then you can trade. Below each part of the canal, there is a trade action. Like here, you can spend 3 shells to to get 1 brick, 1 clay, or you can spend 3 shells to get 1 wood, or you can spend 2 shells to get provisions. Below each of those cards are additional trade options, so you can use those trade options to spend some resources to gain other resources. Another thing is that you can construct farms and outposts and huts. The cost is always shown below each building. If you decide to spend resources, you will take this card, this building, and you have to place it on one of the spots below each section of the canal. So I could place it here, gain 1 provision, and I will place this hut here. It will stay here until the end of the game. I could spend resources for the outpost. I will place it here and it will stay here. So to build more buildings, you need to build more part of the canal, because it will unlock you new building spaces. The further part of the canal usually unlock 2 different spaces where you can build. So this is building. As I said, building farms give you harvest bonuses. Building outposts give you shells during harvest, but it also allows you to treat different color workers as different color workers. If, for example, you would unlock this outpost, you can treat every white worker as a red worker and vice versa. So this is what our outposts for. And building huts gives you more spaces for your workers, gives you some bonuses, and allows you to slide your townsfolk cards below the board. And the last thing is that you can use your workers like this to place them on different huts. You can use huts to gain bonuses. Like here, if I place my white worker, I will get 1 provision. If I place 1 worker here, I can get any color worker besides white. And different spaces, they have different bonuses that you can unlock. Those workers placed on hut spaces, they will go back to your area, play area at the next harvest. You cannot leave any citizen cards in your hand. If you have any cards left and you don't want to perform any additional actions, you will discard, use them for the resources shown here and discard them to your discard pile. The resources will stay with you for the next round, but all townsfolk cards need to be spent. If you have done anything, then you have to suffer attacks from barbarians. You have to take every barbarian card and you have to suffer this penalty, like lose 1 townsfolk card, or you have to pay 1 brick. If you have only 1 barbarian, it's not a problem. If you have 3, 4, 5, 6 barbarian cards, then probably it's more problematic to pay all those penalties in order to fulfill the conditions of the attack stage. After each attack of barbarians, you have to refresh the cards row. You have to slide all citizens to the left. If there is a barbarian, you have to slide it as well. And you have to add new barbarians. At the start of the game, you only add 1 card, but during when you build canal, you will add more and more. If you have built 2 parts of the canal, you will add 2 barbarian cards each round. If you build 4 parts of the canal, you will add 1, 2, and 3. So the further you're in the game, the more barbarian cards you will unlock. If there is not enough space, you have to remove some citizen cards, so the more barbarians means less citizens for you to hire during your action phase. So you add a new barbarian right now, and the round ends. You will start with a new harvest phase. You will gain new citizen cards, new resources, etc. As I said, if you manage to build 6 parts of the canal and survive all the attacks of the barbarians and you will not lose all the cards, then you win the game. If the water is too far, if there are 7 barbarian cards, or if you are out of townsfolk cards, you will lose the game. And depending on the outcome, you take the top card of the defeat or victory deck and you read what it says. And this is basically how you play Legacy of You. Let me tell you my opinion on this game. So what are the pros and cons of this game? First pro, this is a solo-only game. I love it. It's not a multiplayer game with some added solo mode. This is a solo-only game. It was designed with a solo gamers in mind, and I really like it. The second thing I like is that you unlock new cards during the game. This adds some freshness, because each time you play the game, of course, you have the same rules and you will do more or less the same, but new cards give you some better replayability and add some new fresh elements each time you play the game. Also, the storybook is a cool idea because, of course, this is not a story-driven game, but you have the storybook with some entries. The entries will add the new cards to the game, so it's cool, it's fun. It's not too much story, but for a Euro game, it's, I think, quite a unique experience to have some a storybook in a Euro game. I like the use of townsfolk deck. I like games where you have a deck of cards, but it can be used in many ways. And here you can either use townsfolk cards for resources, you can discard them to get resources, or you can tag them under the board to get some bonuses during harvest phase. But at the same time, the deck is basically your life points, because if you're out of townsfolk cards, you will lose the game. Each time you have to reshuffle the townsfolk cards, the flat token will move forward, and this is also one of the ways you can lose the game. So this is an interesting idea. I like the artwork in this game. The artwork is created by Sam Phillips. I know that not everyone is fan of his art, but I really like it, like Riders of Scythia, Legacy of You, Hadrian's Wall. I think he also did the artwork. The old games from Garfield Games, they had the artwork by Demico, but I think this art style is also interesting and unique, and I really like it. And I also like that you have this defeat and victory deck, so it's not like, okay, losing the game is not the best outcome, because of course winning is better, but even though you lose the game, you can continue the campaign and you will continue the progress. And the defeat cards, they give you some boost at the start of your next game, so this is also a nice idea. What are some cons of this game? I think the main con is that even though you unlock new content and unlock new cards, basically each time you play the game you will do the same thing, and because this is not a overly complex Euro game, there are not that many different things you can do in the game. Each time you play the game you will basically try to build the canal, you will spend resources, build some hut, fight barbarians, recruit townsfolk, and that's it. So it gets a little repetitive. Of course the story deck helps, and the new cards from the story deck, the storybook helps, and new cards from the story deck give some freshness, but still each time you play the game you will do the same things. So if you're looking for a Euro game that gives you new ways to play it and new strategies and new mechanics each time you play it, this is probably not this type of game. And another thing is that this game is quite difficult to win. Maybe this is not a con of this game, but you have to be warned that it's not easy to win. You have to really optimize your actions, and you have to really be careful how you spend your cards and how you spend your resources, because this is a very difficult game to win. I like challenging games, so for me it's not a problem, but if you don't like losing, you may consider maybe not playing Legacy of You, because it's not an easy game to win. But overall, Legacy of You is a game I wanted to play and I wanted to try for a long time. I've heard a lot of good opinions on this game, and they are all true, I have to say. The rules are not too complex. This is a fun game to play. It's not too long to play. The box has 60 minutes and it's probably just right. If you play one game, it will last 60 minutes, because you cannot play longer, because you will lose the game by flat or by, running out of cards in the townsfolk deck. So it plays quite fast. It's fun. It's interesting. You have a lot of different cards. You unlock different things. So it's really interesting idea. And I really admire the thing that this is a solo-only game, because we solo gamers, we get all those games that are designed for multiplayer, and the solo mode sometimes feels like an added thing, but you can feel that the game was designed for more players. Not here. Here it's a solo-only game, a clever game. So if you play solo, if you like solo games, you should definitely try Legacy of You, because maybe if more people will get it, it will give an idea for Garphill Games to create maybe another solo game in the future. So a very interesting, very cool game with a lot of clever mechanics and clever concepts. If you like Euro games, give this game a try. I have a lot of fun playing it. So this is it. Leave me a comment if you play this game, because this game is not that new. I think a lot of you could probably already play this game, so let me know in the comments. Click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and visit me on the social media. All the links are in the description of this video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.